My name is Steven de Ker, but feel free to call me Miami Steve. For more than 15 years, I've worked a mix of in front of and behind the camera in markets like Los Angeles and Atlanta. I've had the privilege of working on projects like The Hate You Give, 1517 to Paris, Halt and Catch Fire, Godzilla King of Monsters, tons and tons of other projects. But in 2019, after wrapping out Coming to America, I get wind that my dad has a rare form of cancer.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Talking Just Friday after all of this. Goodness gracious. But you know what? That is what it takes to learn. We got to get through these roadblocks. So
oh man.
So
right, absolutely.
But yeah, thank you very much for joining me, Miami Steve. I really appreciate it. I wanted to get on here and talk about how we met and some of the projects that you're working on, man. So
absolutely. Thank you so much for just thinking of me and inviting me on here. I'm a fan, of what you have going on. I definitely want to dive into how we met, which is very interesting. I definitely want to dive into what I'm working on and, just the whole idea behind Miami Steve.
Absolutely. I mean, you and I met in a very unique and unusual way. And absolutely. A lot of the time, that's how I meet people, honestly. It's sometimes right in the moment, in a line at Starbucks. Sometimes it might be a coworker that you might not think has anything in common with you. But then when you really look at the situation, you have so much in common because opposites attract. So I remembered I called Sony customer service trying to get my camera, trying to figure out how to use that thing. The Sony ZV-E10, which I still don't know how to use, by the way. But I'm sure eventually we'll be able to figure it out. So let's talk about that first conversation that we had when I called Sony customer service. And usually I would try to avoid that at all costs because in my mind, I feel like I can figure everything out. But I said, let me call them and see if they can just walk me through or point me to a resource that can help me out. And you were the person who answered the phone.
When I was troubleshooting and looking through some things, you opened up the conversation and started to ask me about me and my background and stuff like that. And I just started to just talk and open up about who I am, my background, my love for cinema, my project that I'm working on that I've developed over the last couple of years, which is called Miami Steve.
My name is Steven de Ker, but feel free to call me Miami Steve. For more than 15 years, I've worked a mix of in front of and behind the camera in markets like Los Angeles and Atlanta. I've had the privilege of working on projects like The Hate You Give, 1517 to Paris, Halt and Catch Fire, Godzilla King of Monsters, tons and tons of other projects. But in 2019, after wrapping out Coming to America, I get wind that my dad has a rare form of cancer, undifferentiated pleomorphic sarcoma. I decide to go home, and at the beginning of 2020, the pandemic hit, and I'm stuck in my folks' place. We find out my dad hadn't been getting the proper treatment, and the cancer had spread. They gave him 6 months to live, but I only got 2. I was angry. I was not pleasant to be around. But when I couldn't stand myself any longer, I decided to go to therapy, and I worked with somebody by the name of Dr. George Pratt, who specializes in creative visualization and hypnosis. He's worked with tons of successful actors, entrepreneurs, and athletes. Dr. Pratt helped me heal from the trauma, but then also taught me how to create from using creative visualization. I was blown away, and I went down a rabbit hole of understanding how the mind works. I studied people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Neville Goddard, and Abraham Hicks, and Hermes Trismegistus, and Dr. Joe Dispenza. I mean, it was amazing. One thing became abundantly clear. We definitely create our own reality. I was hooked. So I began to ask myself, well, if I could be living any life, what would that look like? If I could be living my dream life, what would that be like? Who would I be? Who is this guy? What do I drive? Where do I live? How do I walk and talk? How do I wear my hair? And I created a character. And I took off Steven and I put on Miami Steve. Miami Steve is the guy who I've always wanted to be ever since I was a kid. He's a movie star. Miami Steve is about a guy named Steven, an optimistic filmmaker who rediscovers his gift and purpose through the death of his father. And after learning a new form of therapy, creative visualization, he begins to utilize this skill and create the life and visualize the life that he's always wanted for himself. And that's the life of Miami Steve. Remnants of these visions begin to show up in present day. And we find out that not only was his path predetermined, but everything Steven had gone through in his life had actually been preparing him for what he's getting ready to step into. And that's the life of Miami Steve. This series is completely original and intended for large format streaming platforms. It's a 1-hour narrative that completely changes how storytelling is done and pushes the barrier of the fourth wall in a new and exciting way. The pilot is written, and I've been developing it for over the past 3 years. And I need your help to bring this to life and to have a network to call home. Please like and share this information with anyone who you would imagine could help. And for serious inquiries, click the link below to Agon Pictures, the rights holder. The link to my Instagram is used to show audiences a glimpse of what the world of Miami Steve looks like, to bring there, here, and to make then, now. Since starting this, a lot of people ask me, well, is it real or is it not? I don't know. You tell me. So get ready and buckle up, because this is the power of the imagination. This is, and I am, Miami Steve.
And it's a 1-hour narrative show intended for large streaming platforms, and which also is conducive to the big idea behind the project and the story, which is directly connected to my own personal story and journey of faith and spirituality and awareness and the power of the mind. And, we kind of just went down this rabbit hole where we just kind of said, forget the camera for a second. And we just started to connect on a deeper level. And it was just we just instantly connected. And from there, we just have stayed in touch and put each other on game and introduced each other to different people and things of that nature. And it's just been a flourishing relationship ever since.
Yeah, synchronicity, it's my favorite word. I've said this before. I'll say it again until the cows come home. Synchronicity, it's a beautiful relationship that I built with the universe and synchronicity, and just noticing patterns that just show up constantly. If you really slow down and think about it, your life is communicating with you at all times. And I started to build a relationship with synchronicity in 2019. I've always seen the subtle hints, but in 2019, it was just very direct. And it started with just a little silly yellow butterfly. And it just flew right in front of me and just sat there, almost like it was waiting for me to connect with it. It's so strange to say that now, but I know for a fact it was true. And then I went from that butterfly, seeing it everywhere I would go, and that butterfly transitioned to a honeybee. Every time I would go and play tennis, it would be one single honeybee that would be on my side of the court whenever I'm about to serve the ball. No matter where I go in the city, it would anywhere I would travel to and go play tennis, and there would be one single honeybee, and it would be alive every time. So little things like that. And I just started to really pay attention and connect with it. And I started to expect it. But the moment you start to expect it, that's when it'll shake it all up. And it'll start to create bigger patterns for you to catch on to. All right. So let's go ahead and play this clip here.
So this one, actually, this clip, this is that's still being worked on. So this is kind of like a placeholder. So if you so if you scroll down, you can see some of the pictures and videos from over yeah. So
nice.
Excuse me. You can see this is me from over the years. That video that's playing, that's being at the Mighty Sharp barbershop. And we walk in and
Mighty Sharp.
Yeah.
Barbershop.
Oh my God, this is for real?
Okay to
This
walk
is
up
for
like
real,
on this?
yeah. Wow.
So
Should
people
be, right?
can see, like, this was me when I was there, and I was just like, wow, this is it. It's me seeing it for the first time. Right. And we're going down, and they built it out. And we go in, you see the Soul Glow, we see Joe Louis, and all that.
Whoa. Dude, I didn't scroll down. I thought that was the video just at the top. I didn't realize you had all of this content in here too.
Yeah, no. So this is what I was saying before. So when people click the link on my Instagram page, it's going to take them to this landing page. And this landing page is basically going to be the video that's going to be at the top. That's just a placeholder for the time being. But the video that I'm going to have there is one that I also recorded, which is about a 5-minute video breaking down who I am, who Steven de Ker is, what Miami Steve is, what it is that I'm looking for. I go more in depth about learning the learning visualization. I talk about Dr. Joe Dispenza, and my dad actually went to go see this movie. This is The Hate You Give. And, he got to see my his son in the credits at the theater. And it was just, I wasn't there with him, but I just knew that he got to see that, and that was huge for me.
Dude, this is...
This
is sickening. Wow.
So this is me slating for a show I did called Love Struck. So you know how Nate did the slate for me. This is me doing that job on a large scale production on a TV show. Yeah.
I muted the sound just so we could talk with that in the background. Is that okay, or is there anything you want to play?
So if we pull it back a little bit and turn the sound on.
Start it over. Okay.
I would say start it over, go back a little bit.
It's 33 seconds.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hold the talking, here we go.
So I told somebody in the audience, I said, hey, or one of the actors, I said, hey, hold on.
Thank you, everybody. Top of the scene with sparks on the course. Cameras, throw them up. Let's go. Roll.
Oh my God.
Hey, Mark.
It feels like we're on set right now.
Yeah.
Talking, here we go.
We got a lot more. Keep on scrolling through here.
Yeah.
I can break some of these down. You like this?
Yeah.
Cut. Okay.
Oh, good.
Oh, wait. Was that
That's Mike Epps.
Yeah.
So that's on Meet the Blacks too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is me and my B-Cam. These are my guys here. So that's myself, my guy Chile, and I forget the ops name, but he was a really, really great guy. Really nice guy.
Okay. Yeah, I'm so happy you sent me this. This is amazing. This is your resume. This is your body of work.
Yeah, me over the years, I'm telling me and Danny Trejo, Lil Duval. This is showing people, hey man, I've been out here. I've been doing this for a long time, man.
Yeah, you have. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember just to give you like my side of the story, whenever I was calling, I was a bit frustrated, just trying to figure out all these different moving parts with being an entrepreneur and getting into photography, film. I want to learn all of those different things, and I have to be patient with myself. And I'm not one to pull out the instruction manual and call customer service unless I really, really have to.
Right. Just like jump right in.
Yeah.
That's how I am. Yeah.
I'll try to solve it myself if I can, but I decided to just call. Like I was putting it off. And the real reason why I called is because after the first episode that I had, which is called A Night at the Art Club, here at the building where I live, I'm the host. So I was able to capture a lot of footage with my own camera. But then I also had a guy who's specializing in filmography. He had, I don't know if it was a Sony camera, but he had a really, really nice camera and he was able to capture everything. But I wanted to edit and add and build my first episode, which is what I'm going to call the podcumentary for King Ferdinand. A podcumentary, I want to actually trademark that word because it's a combination of course, a podcast, but a documentary, which is my favorite thing to watch. So a podcast, a conversation, just to talk between you and I about a documented conversation or a documented project, for example. If you have something going on with Miami Steve and you want to showcase that on the show, Talking Just to Talk, then we have a conversation on camera about what you have done. So that's the idea behind the word podcast, podcumentary.
Podcumentary, absolutely. Yeah, and that's phenomenal. We are pioneers. You know, we are breaking new ground in all different types of ways. My show does this, your show does this. And that's something I think that we're big thinkers. You know, we're thinking outside the box. We're thinking, ahead. You know, and that's another thing that we connected on, and it's beautiful, man. So absolutely to do that. And I definitely will always be coming back to King Ferdinand to share what I have going on, which I'm happy to dive into whatever we can, you know, I've got a couple of things I'm working on, which are really amazing. Yeah, I'm ready to get into it.
See if I could, there we go. So all of it. Okay, I mean, the only thing is it shrinks it down a little bit. So let's see. Yeah. It's like a camera like that. That's a lot going on.
You gotta build that. I have a video on here where I'm building one. You have to like it's not like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like the ZV-1 or whatever. Like you have to.
Oh yeah, and I still need help. I need a training class for the Sony ZV-E10. Please help.
The E10, yeah.
But this is crazy, man. This is beautiful.
Over here, GPS, backlot. Right now, this is.
Let me go back out. All right. So, is there anyone in particular? Look at this.
And you can even see these me as a teenager. You know, 17, 18, 19 years old. I've been doing this stuff.
Wow, you've been out here. You've been out here in these streets.
Yeah, man. So, you know, I've been around for a minute and we scroll through. And if you have any questions about any of them, you can, you know, ask. But yeah, man, this is the resume, man.
Wow. I'm mesmerized. I mean, I'm following your lead. I'm just gonna scroll. I might have a question, but like this
if you see anything and you're like, what's this? We can get into it. When people see the ad, the first video that we ran in the beginning, that's going to take you to the Instagram page, right? And we're also going to have, so the one for Hulu, the 30-second one, it's going to have a, you know, the link to the Instagram page, but then also I'm going to have a QR code so people can scan the QR code when the ad runs, and it can take them either to the landing page directly or to the Instagram page. So, and then they get to see this. And then when they go to the landing page, they not only get the in-depth video of who I am and what everything is and what we're looking for, but you also get the visual resume over the years. You get the link to back to the Instagram page, and you get the link to the rights holder, which is the production company, Agon Pictures. And it's just all there for you.
You had a question about my purpose. I just wanted to follow up with that, and we can talk about purpose together, and then also creativity and innovation. When it comes to finding my purpose, I feel that I discovered it just based off trial and error. And specifically when I started with a personal branding exercise that we did as a team. And I remember I started asking myself those thought-provoking questions like, wait a minute. What am I passionate about? What very consistent that when I leave the room, everyone would remember this thing about King Ferdinand. And I couldn't answer that question. I remember this interaction, and it was more about opening up your mind to figure out what that answer is. And there's no one specific answer, but having that be part of our meeting and conversation to really explore the things that we're passionate about. They actually challenge us to volunteer and be part of a community outside of business, because it makes you a fully realized human being, so you can contribute on a higher level. It's literally my individual mission, that it's about making the connection with people and what they're passionate about and then finding opportunities for people to collaborate, bringing them opportunities to work or, have fun and things like that. Because a lot of people, they get trapped into the world of, I'm an accountant or I'm an executive at a company, but it's really not fulfilling work. And I've been determined to balance my work and my personal life and dedicate equal energy to both of them in every aspect of my life. In the past, I've dedicated way too much of my energy to my professional life, and it's lopsided. And then you feel empty. Then the anxiety, stress, depression, all of that stuff can kick in. So it's been a lot of self-discovery, trial and error to get to that point of the purpose and the mission that I have. And it's all like fairly new when I'm cracking this stuff open. So I still feel like a newborn baby in a way, but
Right.
I'm able to be a kid again in a way. And I'm
And
able
that's
to
the
have
most
people.
important thing right there.
Yeah.
Back in
Yes.
touch with that childlike energy. Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Brad, keep going.
No, it's all good. I mean, I've always noticed one consistent thing when I really look back at the blueprint of my life is sound, audio, voice, communication. That's the way I've been able to get from being a cashier at a grocery store to now a leader, a great team of people. So, anything is possible. And that's how I found my purpose. And it's still unfolding. That's the thing. It's not a definitive answer, but I know that what I'm doing now is very fulfilling. And I'm also continuing to pull back the layers. So I appreciate the question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's something that we all should begin to ask ourselves, because it was similar for me. It wasn't until I had a loss where with my dad where I began to actually ask these questions. Who am I? Who is this guy? And I had been thinking about these things for years, especially going through my early 20s, being in Los Angeles. And as I've been growing and getting older, it was like I knew it subconsciously, but like I still wasn't fully entering into it or stepping into it or taking steps towards that direction. I was always kind of dancing around it, and now moving forward and fully stepping into what it is that I truly want to do. I actually, looking back on all the stuff that I was doing before when I was dancing around it, actually, as I can leverage all of that knowledge and experience in the present moment, right? We may think that all of it was for nothing, but really it's not. All of that was shaping and molding me and giving me clarity. Like, to be on set and to see those guys working and these legends, people I used to watch on TV as a kid, I'm standing next to now. And I can see how things are done on a grand scale. Okay, so if that's the case, not only do I know how this stuff works for the most part, but I see how they're doing it. I think I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that. I'm right here, and there's countless times when I've been behind the camera and I'm watching them do, the talent act to do things. And I so badly wanted to be in front of the camera. And I would just kind of kill that feeling of that vibe, and like, no, I'm all the way. I'm 2 feet in, knee deep. We in it.
All the way. Yeah.
All the way. Yeah.
Yes. I will tell you, I feel like my purpose found me. Yeah, it found me. So I was just looking for a job, my first job, and my sister actually worked at a grocery store called Winn-Dixie in New Orleans, Louisiana. And it just made sense for me to just go and work where she worked because I knew I would either be able to get the job, but I actually earned the job and I actually worked hard, and she held me accountable because she was like my supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
So she wanted to make sure there was no favoritism, and she kind of worked me harder to prove a point. And I'm okay with that because it ended up showing me responsibility and discipline and, consistency and things like that. But I already had a fire in me and I knew that I was going to do great things. So every job that I've had, I've been recruited for a better opportunity. So I always go back to that first job because I think about it as like my anchor point, my home base. Grocery store, organizing shelves, connecting with people, being consistent and thoughtful about what you put in the bag. It's like those life lessons that people they overlook those things. Mm-hmm. Every opportunity, every experience you have in life is teaching you something. Absolutely. That's going to help you get somewhere else. So
absolutely. If it's not a blessing, it's a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Scene 1, camera 8, take 8.
My guy Nate too, by the way. Shout out Nate.
Okay.
Camera B, take 8.
Yes, sir. I was talking to someone when it comes to creativity and innovation. We covered a lot when it comes to the project in Miami Sea that you're working on, but imagination, I have a big one. I mean, I feel like Pinky in the Brain sometimes where I want to take over the world. But, what is it when it comes to imagination? What gets you going? What inspires you to stay motivated?
I mean, imagination, that's my little tagline. Imagination, it creates reality. It's just the thing that keeps me going. Right now, to be completely honest, a huge driving force for me is, this is personal, but a huge driving force for me is, it's accountability based, and it comes down to when I was talking to my dad on his deathbed. I made a promise to him, and I said, "Dad, can you hear me?" He said, "Yeah." I squeeze my hand if you can hear me. He squeezed my hand, and I made a promise to him, and that was such a strong and powerful and emotional time for me that anytime I think about quitting or anytime I get upset or whatever, like I remember that, and it reignites the fire to keep
Wow.
going. I have to do this. I have to, because the promise it has nothing to do with me, actually. Like that's the most interesting thing about it. I made him a promise to do something for someone else, and I said that I was going to bust my ass and I'm going to do this thing. And I meant it. And it was just one of the, I'm kind of getting a little choked up now thinking about it, but it's just one of those things that when I think about it or when I get into it and I start talking about it, it's one of those things that just made such a huge impression on me, because let me just quick sidebar really quickly, but the science behind that, the spirituality behind that is whenever we have some type of experience like that, that's traumatic or very emotional, our body takes a snapshot of that experience and it's stored in the body, right? So what happens is anytime we think about that moment, it starts to conjure up all those emotions and feelings and everything that was surrounding everything at that time. And because I had such a heightened state mixed with a powerful emotion that was focused on or centered around making a promise and getting something done, anytime I really think about, it was really anchored. Anytime I think about my dad or I think about that thing, it always kind of recenters me or ignites me again to get me going back towards what it is that I can't quit. I have to keep this promise. I have to keep going. I have to figure this out. And that's really, really what it comes down to. And it's that. And then also too, just like I have so much that I want to do. I have so much interest. I have so many things that I want to create, and so many ideas and so many things that I want to explore. And it's like, oh man, like I want to know what can I do with this life that I've been given. I want to know, I want to see what this looks like. Like I have to, I know all the feelings. I know what I've visualized and what I've seen. You can't tell me that's not real. I felt it, and that's really a big inspiration for me. And then also to others that I look up to, who don't even know I exist yet, who have inspired me over the years, entertainers, actors, entrepreneurs, and authors, and other family members, stuff like that, and people who just, till this day, I always will be a fan, and always revert back to watching them or listening to them, because I believe that those people leave breadcrumbs for people like you and me.
Oh, yes, I agree. This crown above my head, that represents the subconscious mind. And it is a beautiful thing. You have to train yourself to believe. And when you meditate and you visualize and you see those things, you can't unsee them. So the same thing with King Ferdinand. It's the same exact thing. I remember the moment when I decided King Ferdinand, all one word. There was no negotiation. There was no question. And once I tap into it, which is every day, it reveals itself to me even more, down to the colors, the acronym CROWN. That's courageous, rambunctious, one of a kind, world class, noteworthy leadership and marketing. It's everything is snapping into place for my brand. And it keeps me motivated, because every day I look at it, I'm just like, there's something even more beautiful than I saw yesterday. And I was already crying my eyes out yesterday with gratitude that I actually have this lottery ticket that's been gifted to me.
And we all have one.
We all have it.
And the more that we live and walk in our own, our purpose or blessing or what have you, we can inspire others. I mean, it's literally the same thing that the ones who inspired me, that's what they did.
I love it. I guess an exclusive sneak peek behind the scenes. You got it here on Talking Just to Talk with King Ferdinand and Miami Steve.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. You really are the king of spades. You got it all figured out, man. And I love connecting with you. Every single time I speak with you, I usually learn something new or there's a light bulb moment. So we got to continue this, okay?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right. Oh, yeah. I learned about the fourth wall from the last time, and I'm so glad you clarified for the audience. So thank you once again, Miami Steve. I appreciate you spending time. You always have a place to call home at the house of King Ferdinand. Okay. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that. Always a pleasure. Peace and love, my brother.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Special thanks to Agon Pictures, Contrast Cine, and Nate Clayton. Hosted by me, King Ferdinand, executive producer Victor Lizardi.
AKA OG Tiger Man in the house. Let's go.
Boom.